This is a story of that shot, who fired it and why. The story of a polarizing figure whose voice was silenced forever. The story of a brilliant young man who allegedly pulled the trigger, and the manhunt that ended with his own family turning him in. September 10th, 2025, Orem, Utah. The bright sun was high over Utah Valley University as hundreds gathered to see one of America's most controversial conservative figures, Charlie Kirk. Cameras rolled, questions flew, laughter, cheers, even boos. And then silence. A single crack of gunfire cut through the noise. Charlie Kirk collapsed mid-sentence, struck in the neck by a bullet fired from hundreds of feet away. This wasn't an accident. This was an assassination. In a nation already tearing itself apart, did this assassination open a new chapter of political violence? This is American assassination, the killing of Charlie Kirk. And what happened next? The manhunt, the clues, the chilling arrest would reveal a story of radicalization, ideology, and betrayal from within the shooter's own family. Welcome back to True Crime Ball. Tonight, we unlock the case of the Charlie Kirk assassination, a case that may change how America sees political violence forever. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like and comment. Thanks. Charlie Kirk was no stranger to controversy. As the founder of Turning Point USA, he'd spent over a decade building a conservative youth movement, clashing with critics over everything from LGBTQ rights to immigration. To some, he was a culture warrior. To others, a provocateur. On that September afternoon, Kirk was in the middle of his American Comeback Tour, a nationwide speaking circuit meant to energize young conservatives ahead of the 2026 midterms. Kirk had built an empire, Turning Point USA, mobilizing young conservatives across American campuses. To his supporters, he was a hero speaking truth to power. To his detractors, a purveyor of hate. Tonight, on this stage, he would deliver his last words. 22-year-old Tyler James Robinson, an electrical student from a small town in southwestern Utah, a former Mormon with no criminal record, a gifted student who tested in the 99th percentile, and allegedly a man with a rifle and a mission. Two young men from conservative backgrounds, two very different paths. Their lives were about to collide in violence that would shock the nation, but no one expected that event to turn into a national tragedy, or that the suspect would be a 22-year-old local man named Tyler Robinson. Police later determined that the shooter had planned his vantage point carefully. From a rooftop of the Losi Center building, roughly 142 to 200 yards away, he had a clear line of sight to Kirk's podium. Next to his rifle, investigators found spent and unspent rounds with chilling inscriptions. Words like "No more hate" and "End fascism" were scratched into the metal casings. Some were decorated with crude slurs, others with symbols associated with anti-fascist groups. This wasn't just a random act. This was a message. Within minutes, UV was locked down. SWAT teams swept rooftops. FBI and ATF were called in. Investigators traced the shooter's escape route through wooded areas near the campus, where they found a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a towel. But the break in the case came from an unexpected place: the shooter's own family. When police released grainy surveillance footage of a man fleeing the rooftop, the image went viral. That night, Tyler Robinson's father recognized the clothing. He called police. Investigators soon learned that Tyler had allegedly confessed to a family member, who in turn told a family friend. This chain of trust led straight to his arrest in Washington County, Utah. To understand what happened that night, you have to understand Charlie Kirk, a college dropout from the Chicago suburbs, who became one of the most influential conservative voices in America. Kirk founded Turning Point USA at just 18 years old, building it into a media empire that raked in $85 million last year alone. He was a master of social media, a provocateur who knew how to capture attention. His Prove Me Wrong campus tours made him a rock star to young conservatives, and a villain to those who oppose him. Dr. Matthew Dollett, George Washington University professor, alleges that Trump prizes loyalty above maybe anything else. And if Don Jr. is saying Kirk was like a brother to him, that suggests just how great a supporter Kirk was. They viewed him as an absolutely critical ally and advisor. Kirk's influence extended all the way to the White House. He helped vet Trump administration appointees and was credited with mobilizing the youth vote that helped secure Trump's 2024 victory. But with influence came controversy. Kirk made enemies with his hardline stances against abortion, gun control, and transgender rights. He spread misinformation about COVID vaccines and election fraud. He helped organize buses to the January 6th rally that preceded the Capitol riot, though he later pleaded the Fifth when questioned by Congress. Love him or hate him, Charlie Kirk knew how to make an impact, and on September 10, that impact would make him a target. Supporters of Kirk mourned the loss, calling it an attack on free speech. Critics of his politics debated whether his rhetoric had fueled divisions or whether the shooter's ideology was proof of growing political extremism on the left. For many, the assassination marked a chilling moment. If even a campus-speaking event could turn deadly, was anywhere safe? To understand what happened on that rooftop, you have to understand the young man who allegedly stood there with a rifle. Tyler grew up in Washington, Utah, a conservative Mormon community between Las Vegas and Zion National Park. His parents, registered Republicans, were married for 25 years. His father ran a kitchen countertop business. His mother was a social worker. By all accounts, Tyler was brilliant, a high school honor roll student who scored in the 99th percentile on standardized tests. He earned a prestigious scholarship to Utah State University in 2021, but after just one semester, he dropped out. He enrolled instead in an electrical apprenticeship program at Dixie Technical College. Something had changed in Tyler Robinson. According to family and people that were interviewing, he does come from a conservative family, but his ideology was very different than his family. Friends have confirmed that there was kind of that deep, dark internet, the Reddit culture, and these other dark places of the internet where this person was going deep. Then came another revelation. Tyler had a romantic partner who was transgender, a fact some politicians would seize on as motive, though authorities haven't confirmed this connection. While his family remained conservative, Tyler's politics veered left. He registered as an unaffiliated voter and didn't vote in the last two elections. He spent time in what the governor called the dark corners of the internet. But was this enough to turn a bright young man into an alleged assassin? Timeline graphics showing the events of September 10th, 2025 is as follows. 5:15 p.m., Tyler Robinson arrives on campus, blending with students. He carries a backpack containing a disassembled rifle. 5:32 p.m., Charlie Kirk's motorcade arrives. He jokes with aides about the beautiful Utah evening. 5:48 p.m., Kirk takes a stage at the outdoor amphitheater. The crowd numbers over 3,000, with only 6 police officers providing security. Keenan Cantrell said these very words. How the crap did security mess this up so badly that this was able to happen? No one checking bags, no metal detectors. We didn't see really any security. 6:12 p.m., Robinson accesses a little-known maintenance stairwell to a rooftop 150 yards from the stage. He assembles his rifle. 6:19 p.m., Kirk is debating a student about immigration when Robinson takes aim. 150 yards away. The distance between life and death. 6:20 and 4 seconds p.m., a single shot rings out. Kirk clutches his neck and collapses. Chaos reenactment. Students screaming, scrambling for cover. Security rushing the stage. Pandemonium. As Kirk bleeds on the stage, the shooter disappears from the rooftop. 6:22 p.m., campus police lock down the area, but the shooter is already gone. 6:35 p.m., paramedics pronounce Charles James Kirk dead at age 31. Breaking news alert graphics. Social media posts exploding. Within minutes, the news spreads across America. A political assassination in peaceful Utah. The killing of a man who was both celebrated and despised. And the beginning of a 33-hour manhunt for his killer. Crime scene investigators on the rooftop. Evidence markers. Photographers documenting shell casings. On the rooftop, investigators make chilling discoveries. Shell casings, some fired, some unused, each with messages engraved into the metal. Extreme close-ups of engraved shell casings. Notices bulges. Oh, well, what's this? If you read this, your Gale Mail, hey, fascist. Catch, with arrows, lyrics from Bella Ciao, the Italian anti-fascist resistance song, cryptic messages that seem part political statement, part internet trolling humor, references to online meme culture and anti-fascist slogans that would fuel endless speculation about the shooter's motives. Security camera footage showing a figure exiting the rooftop, moving quickly but not running. The shooter had escaped efficiently. He left minimal evidence beyond the shell casings. But then a break. A campus security camera captured a clear image of a suspect leaving the building. The blurred suspect photo released to media, then unblurred for our documentary, showing Tyler Robinson's face. At 9:17 p.m., law enforcement releases the image to media, sparking a nationwide manhunt. For the next 33 hours, America holds its breath, wondering where the assassin might be, and if he would strike again. Who is he? Is he a political zealot, an anti-fascist crusader acting on a deadly ideology? Or is he something more complex, and perhaps more terrifying? A product of our fractured times, a lonely young man radicalized in the dark corners of the internet, who turned memes and online rage into a real-world bullet. Quick, tense cuts. A map of the western United States with a pulsing over Utah. A police radio crackles. A family, the Robinsons, sits in their living room, watching the news, their faces pale with a dawning, horrifying recognition. As a nation grieves and a political firestorm erupts, a massive manhunt is underway. But the killer has vanished into the night. Is he armed? Is he dangerous? Is he plotting another attack? The screen splits. On one side, the memorial for Charlie Kirk grows. On the other, the frozen image of Tyler Robinson. The music swells, full of dread and suspense. The story is far from over. In part 2, we track the killer. We reveal how his own family made the impossible choice that ended the manhunt. We analyze the chilling messages he left on his ammunition and delve into the psychological profile of a modern lone wolf assassin. What drove Tyler Robinson to that rooftop? And what does this act of violence mean for the future of America? Stay tuned for part 2, The Manhunt, coming soon to True Crime Vault. Subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss the shocking conclusion. What would you do if the most wanted man in the country was your son? Find out in part 2